Oh, good afternoon, people, on this, well, rather chilly Monday. In some places, you're pretty snowed in right now. So, I've been listening to a lot of jazz fusion in the last couple days, and watching a whole bunch of Japanese classic movies. Different video on that coming up. And I started thinking, maybe I should do a video on, like, Chick Corea in the 70s, his output. Maybe without Return to Forever, and make that a separate video and a separate entity, because it's two very different things between Return to Forever and anything that Chick was doing separate of them between 72 and 77. So I went in my collection and I have all three of the 78 albums and pretty much all the 76 releases. And I was like, okay, cool. This will be a pretty good thing. I'll have it going in no time. Well, sure enough, I go to look and it turns out I'm missing three of the Return to Forever albums. The second one, Light as a Feather, with the original lineup. Let's see, then the 74, Where Have I Known You Before, and then finally the last one, the seventh one from 77. It's called, I think it's Music Magic. So I said, okay, well, guess I'm going to go listen to those, or maybe just get a hold of them for a good price like I did these other ones. And we'll go from there. Then, of course, you know what happens. You start digging through Wikipedia or any of those Discog lists, and next thing you know, uh, I completely forgot that Chick Corea worked with Gary Burton on a couple of collaboration albums. It was Crystal Silence in April '73, and then Duet released at the end of the decade in '79, which I really haven't heard and completely forgot about. Okay, so we started off with three albums to get. Next thing you know, now I'm at five. Do a little more research, and around the time he starts working with the Electric Miles Band on In a Silent Way and Bitches Brew, he also had a side project with the Dave Holland Trio called The Circle from 70 to 71, and eventually we get two albums from that pairing. Circling in '75, and then Circulus in '78. But they were all recorded early, uh, like April of 1970. So those legacy releases after the fact by Blue Note and not ECM, but it should be Blue Note. All well and good, cool. Some more things to listen to. And then shortly thereafter, that in January of '71, Chick works with three quarters of the Dave Holland Trio. Of the Dave Holland Trio, and they have a side project called Arc, and it's got Barry Altschul as the added musician for that. And Arc would end up with that one album by that trio, that four piece. But then under Chick's name, they'd put out the Song of Singing and The Sun. Next thing you know, three albums. You know how it goes. Three albums to listen to and to buy turns into 10, not counting in the live reissues later on from '71, so those jams. So that was the usual curse of the collector. You know how it goes. And boy, I'm liking the lighting in this room. This is my dining room. I gotta do some cleaning, but looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So as I look at it, let me just go through a couple that I have right now, and I'm gonna stop because I'm missing the second album, the fourth album. But what I did was yesterday I put on the very first Return to Forever album. This is under Chick's name, as I said. This is actually an ECM record, and I didn't realize at the time I had one of these. This came out originally in '72, but this is a Polydor initial press of it for 1975. And I remember just listening to Ken Golden rant about this as a problem later on during on the Laser's Edge, the professor's picks. And he comments how the Polydor presses later on kind of don't match the quality of the proper Manfred ECMs. And I have a couple of Eberhard Webers from '77, '78, and I mean, I don't mind it. I haven't heard the proper German presses of those, so it is what it is. But I gotta tell you, if this is the initial Polydor pressing of an ECM record, there's a really big difference on this. I dropped the needle on this, and just the title track, Return to Forever, off the beginning for 12 minutes. I could hear pin drops in silence between Chick's piano playing. It just blew my mind to hear that type of clarity and silence on a piece of record from, this is 75. I can imagine what the 72 one sounds like. Between this, the clarity, the separation on the instruments just blew my mind. This keeps going on side one. We got Crystal Silence. Of course, there'd be a song, Crystal Silence, the Gary Burton thing. Two lyrics, two songs have lyrics on this by Neville Potter. We got What Game Shall We Play Today, and a little bit on the side two, the long track. There's side two on this is called Sometime Ago La Fiesta. It runs for 23 minutes. It's a sidelong epic, and I enjoyed it. Maybe you could have cut a minute or two out of it. It is what it is. I'm not the master musician in the room playing things on the fly in a jazz setting, but I could have done with a little bit of editing myself. Still, beautiful, and there's a lot of the Spanish and flamenco styles of instrumentation coming in that Chick would go back to much more prominently by 76 through 78 with My Spanish Heart, Secret Agent, Mad Hatter, a little bit on the Leprechaun in 76. So it's starting out like that, and part of that is because for the original lineup of Return to Forever, he had, let me try to pronounce this correctly, on drums and percussion, Aerto Moreira, and his wife is also Flora Purim is on there too, doing vocals. They have been in the Quartet Novero and brought in as part of the Electric Miles group, so in a silent way in Bitches Brew. And that's what was setting up this first Return to Forever album. As my phone goes off and I silence that damn thing. I gotta practice editing, but it is what it is. Besides that, we also have Stanley Clarke on electric bass and double bass, and Stanley Clarke will be there all the way to the end in 77, and then for the occasional reunions in 83, a little bit on the 2019 run too. Chick never really gets away from Return to Forever, but this initial lineup would last the one more album, which I am missing and will have to pick up. Also note that the first two have more of the acoustic sense. So even though Chick Corea was working just with Miles Davis and the Dave Holland Trio, for this album, and for the second one, he was still choosing to keep a lot of the instrumentation acoustic based. Now, it's on the third album, The Immortal Hymns of the Seventh Galaxy, Return to Forever featuring Chick Corea, is where he goes full electric on this. And this album just packs up. Stanley Clarke on the bass. Bill Connors comes in for a one-off on this on guitar, electric and acoustic. The guitar work on this it's just mesmerizing how Bill and Stanley play back and forth off of each other. And this is, again, those jazz albums, it sets up, you have your Prince influences, you have what would eventually become Eddie Van Halen. You could hear all of this going back and forth in the interplay. It's just white hot. On a number of these, especially after the Cosmic Rain, Stanley Clarke's almost 9-minute opus on track 2 on side A. I mean, it opens with the title track, 3.5 minutes of just blistering jazz fusion. My favorite, though, is Captain Senor Mouse. It's one of the Chicks one. That's 9 minutes as well to close out side 1. I didn't know where this damn thing was going. Whereas the first album and the second one, you sit there and it's a ride. It's a trip. It's relaxing. This gets you moving. This is like the body electric type of deal where you just want to move, you want to dance. And Lord knows I can't dance, but that doesn't stop me from trying. You know how it goes. Side two, we've got Theme to the Mothership. That's science fiction, all right. Everything with the choral arrangements and stuff like that. No vocals, but just the effects. Later on, Chick would do this. His wife Gail Moran, she would come in and just do that backing vocal chanting and stuff of that nature. Space Circus parts 1 and 2, about almost 6 minutes on that, and finally closes with The Game Maker. This was, I love that artwork too. Look at that, yeah. So, Chick, Stanley Clark, Lenny White, Bill Connors. Absolutely mesmerizing. And really, this is still a foundational piece of work. I think if you want more of the old school acoustic jazz, more of those Brazilian rhythms coming in, Spanish influences, that hell of a start. If you want set the club on fire, let loose and just stare off into space without the help of something else, this is immaculate. And at some point I'll put the other ones on. Maybe I'll just jump ahead and get to No Stranger and, of course, Romantic War. But I know Romantic War. That's the outright classic, commercially speaking, that you can't go wrong with that album whatsoever. But we'll figure out what I want to do next with that one. So that's the start of that one. Oh, and before I go to another video on some of the Japanese movies I've been watching, I gave my old used CD copy of Miles Davis, Roundabout Midnight, a shot. I've had it 4.5 years, maybe listened to it once. Put it on the other day. It's the remaster version from '05 that was reissued, but it's from the '97 box sets where they tack on 4 more bonus performances from the sessions with Coltrane, and I really relaxed and felt alive just listening to that one. I feel like depending on the era you go for and just what your outlook on life or your stimulations are, what your moods are, it's going to impact whether or not you get into it. And I think I was just having a good day. I put in a couple job applications, got back to normal working out, crunches, curls, running 6 miles without stopping. For whatever reason, I was just relaxed and chill, so I put that on, and I love that. Bye Bye Blackbird, and the title track, which is a Thelonious Monk cover. Well worth your time. And I'm now in a Miles Davis mood, so I've got some more exploring to do on that. I've got 6 more albums on the shelf, and now I want to order the Plug Nickel 65 set and the one from, I think it's Tokyo 1970 for the electric beer, because I love that. Obviously, I'm talking something from that era right now. So that's all things that are going to come up. There'll probably be 2 more Chick Corea videos, and we'll go from there. I need to clean this room, but I kind of like the acoustics and everything in here. It's a lot nicer. And I don't have to go crazy with the lighting as much. Not too much glare. So that's about it. And do yourself a favor. Go watch Shaft. Can you dig it? Isaac Hayes, at that time known as Black Moses, well, from Stack Records days. About 25 years later, of course, he become Chef. And that is one of the most important films, American films, probably ever made. I'm not going to go off too much. I think most people have heard the name, seen parts of the movie, understand the look, the feel, the importance on um, growing or become the black exploitation scene, but offering opportunities for more African Americans in Hollywood, in the field, a more positive portrayal, amongst other things. But I'm gonna let you guys find that out if you didn't already know. I that's what made me pick it up was I've had it. It was another one of those films that my dad and I used to watch all the damn time. So you know, since it was his birthday last week, I just said I'm gonna go ahead and watch this, and that's the Criterion 4K Blu-ray set that came with so many special features. It came with the film on regular on 4K and then on the Blu-ray. Blu-ray 1 was the same film again, but with all the features. Blu-ray 2 had the sequel that Gordon Parks directed himself, which is Shaft's Big Score, 1972. Okay. That one, whereas the first one is, $1 million budget and it made 13 million. The second one did okay, but it didn't set the world afire and kickstart a whole new genre like the first did. And I haven't picked up the third movie yet, Shaft in Africa. That's 73. I've only seen the first 15 minutes of that, and that was 2011. But it's on Blu-ray, and it seemed a bit silly. I know he goes to they send Shaft to Africa, and he's going to break up a modern day illegal slave trade. But they did shoot on location, I think, in Nigeria. So I might find it on Tubi first, or I'll just spend the $12 and get the damn Warner Archive Blu-ray and call it a day. Because I'm probably going to end up like it. I don't think I'm going to enjoy as much as I do Willie Dynamite, or even the somewhat goofy Dolomites, Superfly, classic movies. But again, we'll see what happens. So I'll be back in again on a couple of the classic Japanese cinema flicks, and we'll go from there. So, thanks a lot, guys. See you in hell, friends.